Gee, that was pretty violent. Almost like you wouldn't want to see it anymore, see it covered up or taken away. Well, that is what is called censorship. Censorship is the suppression or prescription of speech or writing that is deemed obscene, indecent, or unduly controversial. Eric Maria Remarques, All Quiet on the Western Front, was a book discussing the hardships of World War I and what soldiers had to endure. Let's find my good friend Zane and have him tell us more about this novel. Where is he?
The book was not only popular but was also decisive, with some thinking that Remarque was a proponent of war and others thinking he was a pacifist. The book in 1930 was eventually made into a movie. Just 3 years later, in 1933, under the Nazi Party, the book was banned in Germany and was often included in book burning.
Excellent point, Zane. I'm sure Isaac will have more to say about the following topics.
During wartime, more specifically during World War I and World War II, censorship could also be viewed in countries like Russia and England. In England, we could observe a censoring of press that spread an anti-war message. This was censored out as an anti-war message could hurt the numbers desiring to enlist. In England, the government wanted to spread a message that was pro-war. To do this, they used various methods of propaganda to strengthen the numbers who wanted to enlist. In Russia, we can observe the Communist Party of the Soviet Union censoring out literature that contained a message of anti-Soviet ideas or anti-war.
Now, the million-dollar question is, who in particular would advocate for or against censorship? Well, I'm here to tell you the four. Woodrow Wilson was the 28th President of the United States, and he was in the hot seat of World War I, where he advocated heavily for censorship. During the time period of World War I, America had a very prominent German population, which would naturally cause some problems. This heavy German population would create a national sympathy for the German people, which America was actively fighting against. In order to counteract this, Wilson would instate the Espionage Act of 1917. This act would create a stringent law which allowed postal officials to ban any newspapers or magazines that they saw as being threatening to American civility or against the war effort. Let's see what our good little guy Evan has to say about advocating against censorship.
In the debate of if censorship of anti-war and warlike literature is good for a nation, one major advocacy for censorship being a bad thing was Clark Hoyt. Clark was a major influencer in the newspaper organization The Knight Ridder, and was able to get his point across to many people since he was the Washington bureau chief for Knight Ridder newspapers with 38 years of experience working for the Knight Ridder. The Pentagon was a major influencer of censorship of war reports, and Clark even went on to say that they created a system of enormous control. One major way that the Pentagon influences war reports was through setting up press pools, which were groups of news reporters who had to stay with a military patrol party and not go into places where American soldiers had died and where battles were taking place. Many news reporters didn't like the idea of being a part of the press pools, so instead they became unilaterals, who were reporters that went into war-stricken areas alone and not in a press pool. There are many consequences if you are caught outside of a press pool, which include but aren't limited to getting arrested, being taken to base, or even sent back home, and sometimes losing your press credentials. The reporters would only be allowed to report on things that praised the war and made it look good, rather than what really happens. This is due to the fact that the government and military censored all reports, which is why censorship on any wartime or warlike article is bad.
So what can we really pull from all of this? Well, what we've decided is censorship, although it could possibly be beneficial, is overall harmful to the war effort. Shielding the public from what the truth is not helping them, and in fact promotes ignorance among the general populace.